Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now with this? All right. So I'm super bummed out and very, very sorry and sad. I don't know how to say this or not, but I unfortunately did not hit the record button when I walked away from the camera. That is single-handedly the most embarrassing thing I think I've ever done in my life. I could have sworn that I pressed the record button as I walked away, which is my fault for not checking because I just tapped it, but I guess I didn't hit it. So all you'll be seeing is the podcast cover and the audio file for this episode, the introduction episode. Expect in the future a video recording of this podcast. Guys, I just cannot believe I did that. I just fluked the whole thing. The first episode ended up being almost 29 minutes. It was the introduction episode. Again, I'm sorry. Thank you for the support, but you'll just be seeing the podcast album cover and the audio. So again, super sorry about that, but have a good one, and I will see you on Monday for Welcome to My Weekends. Why am I like this? Oh my God, unbelievable. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Chris Seibert Show. This is the introduction episode to my brand new podcast, the Chris Seibert Show, which I'm very excited to talk about and share. This episode really won't go too in depth. This is more of kind of just the dry run introduction episode as stated before. I've created a text document so that way I stay on point and then I don't just fumble and bumble and mess around and get off topic, because I have a very, very bad habit of doing that. I came up with this concept for a variety of reasons, and I'll get into that this episode, but I want to let you guys know right off the bat that this is essentially going to be a solo podcast. Now, over time, and hopefully fingers crossed, as I continue to grow, I know quite a bit of people in my contact list. I mean, I could easily call now and have them featured on for a good 10 to 15 minute segment. And I want to talk to people who are specifically artists or entrepreneurs. And I think it's just fascinating because I know quite a bit of people who are just extremely creative in a variety of ways, both with video, photography, art, music, and then also business-minded people who are just looking to make some good money and have some side hustles. And I think it'd be really cool to really share their stories, see what's behind their mind, and get to learn and maybe grow some motivation or and get some inspiration from them outside of hopefully me when I make these. We'll see. But I want to let you guys also know as well that these episodes, if you're listening through the podcast, both through either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or depending on where else I make sure that these are uploaded to, and you're curious to see who I look like or have never heard of me before, I do have a YouTube channel. So feel free to find my YouTube channel. It's Christopher Seibert, and you can find these episodes here and rewatch them, or if you just want to see who I am talking, because right now I currently have my camera just facing me and I'm sitting at my dining room table. Luckily though, or hopefully soon, we'll get some more canvases or wall art behind, so it'll look a little bit different or change the setting. But already getting off topic, and we're a little over 2 minutes in. So the Chris Seibert Show, again, this is the introduction episode. We're not going to get really too in-depth going into specifics this week. This is more of just an overview of what to expect in the future, and then starting next week, we'll begin to break that down, and I'll make sure to get more wordy and type more into this text document so that way we can go from there. But I want to let you guys know, a lot of people who are going to be originally listening to this are people who know of me or already follow me and will understand that this is not my first podcast series. For those of you that do know or don't know, my first ever podcast series was back in late 2018, early 2019, called Cyberspace. And it's crazy because what ended up happening was essentially once I graduated college, I came across, or I guess I just had this epiphany that once you're done with school, your last round of school or whatever kind of schooling you go through, high school, college, that's it. You have no one else telling you really what to do. You've kind of gotten the fundamentals of learning, writing, reading, and you're just in the real world, and you got to expect to work, pay bills, and survive. So for me personally, I kind of got in this mindset where it was like I wasn't really getting hired, so I ended up starting my own freelance kind of gig, got a couple good jobs, made some good money for a second, and then the work did not continue to keep falling through. Luckily, I had one client, and that ended up turning into a full-time marketing position, and I did that for the remainder of the year. However, during that period of time, there was other things I wanted to do as well. I wanted to continue to keep doing my side business. I wanted to start doing YouTube again. I was really, really passionate about podcasts at the time. I don't listen to them as much now. I should do that a lot more, but I was just on a really big podcast kick. And I wanted to do one so bad, and at the time, complacency was kind of just my thing. I really wasn't trying. I didn't really have my a good solid work ethic other outside of work. I just kind of went through a day-to-day normal routine, and I ended up coming up with this concept where it was like, okay, I'm going to make a podcast series that's going to be really motivational, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all these goals, and I'm going to push myself to do these goals. And then hopefully it'll inspire and motivate others. And then from there on out, it'll continue to grow and all this and that. I mean, I had a pretty good process and thought out plan of how I was going to do that. However, unfortunately, I noticed that I started changing as a human being. Like, I just didn't like who I was becoming because of this podcast series that I created. And also, the sad thing about it is that I really just was not in a good mental state at the time, too. I wasn't very consistent with the podcast, and it's super unfortunate too, because a lot of people who were listening to the podcast were really like getting a hold of me. Like, I was getting a lot of different direct messages. I was getting text messages. People were reaching out who I didn't really talk to on occasion, but they're just making it, reaching out, telling me that I really enjoyed the podcast and thank you and I needed this, or like keep going. And it was awesome to see that. But at the time, like I said, behind the microphone, I kind of just felt like I was trapped in the back of a wall to where I was like, I don't really like who I'm becoming. It's growing really, really quick and I don't know how to handle it. And I just didn't like who I was becoming. So it kind of broke my heart in a lot of ways. And I ended up stopping. And for the remainder of 2019, I ended up really just working on myself. And I'm so happy and thankful that I did that, because by the end of the year, coming into 2020, that's when a lot of things shifted. For the first month of January, I ran 218 miles. After that, I did another challenge. But even at the end of January, I ended up starting this YouTube channel. And that's really ultimately, since then, I've kind of just been building off of that. And I have a couple journals here, and we'll get to these, but the first main thing, and I have this in my notes about sharing my cyberspace story, was that I came across this journal, and I've recommended this in a few different of my videos, but I strongly suggest that if you're going through a rough time, you're doing a goal, or trying a new challenge or something that's really testing you, track your progress, whether it be through some type of video content, whether it's a 60-second clip in your phone, and you don't have to share this stuff. I mean, this is private. So you can just say how you're feeling, what you learned from it. If you have a journal, maybe write down some notes, or it's as simple as even in your phone, the Notes app. You can do something as simple as that, because it's really cool, because as you continue to do the challenge, you're going to realize that you're shifting both mentally and physically. So you want to look back at your progress and say, oh, wow, on this day, that, and that. But anyways, that's beside the point. I came across my 2019 journal as I was really working on myself. And it's really cool, because this is exactly the last thing I wrote in this journal for 2019. And this was in June, which we will be coming up on June before we know it, because it's already May. But on June 12th of 2019, I wrote that today I felt remarkable. Tomorrow will be a true testament to see if I can manage to stay the same. While at work today, I thought of an idea. In the year 2020, how about I revive my YouTube channel, The Life of Chris, and create a weekly show? Though at times I feel like my life isn't that interesting, perhaps every week I can discuss what happened the previous week. I can get a new journal and write down observations, an exciting idea, and an added element will be personal made t-shirts, an investing portfolio. That way each week I will have something to update the viewer on. Not only am I running a small business, but I'm working on my video and editing skills, something at the end of each week I can look forward to. This idea is subject to change and in the early development stage, but it got me really excited. It got me a really excited. Oh my God, my writing's so bad. Got me exciting feeling that I've seemed to have backed away or something, tacked away. Gosh, this is just really bad. I'm very excited for what's on the horizon. First step, better communication skills. Second step, confidence. Third step, patience. So I ended up writing that that journal entry, and that was the last thing I wrote in the whole year of 2019 in my 2019 journal. So when I came across that and read that, I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. But it really kind of pushed me and inspired me to really start up a podcast series again. And I don't think I would have done this, but I realized when I did my 30-day video challenge on my YouTube channel back in April, I realized that I have so much time on my hands, because originally what my upload schedule ended up being was it was Welcome to My Weekends, which consisted of gathering content on the weekends. And this was pre-corona. So, I mean, I was out on the weekends at bars. I was with friends doing stuff. At the time, I was also volunteering for Andrew Yang. So there was a lot of different things I was doing, and it was really cool to be active and film a lot of that. And eventually I was supposed to travel and stuff for work too. So I'd been getting all kinds of content, but unfortunately, when Corona hit, a lot of that has changed. So, I realized that I had the Welcome to My Weekends. I was doing the Wednesday live stream, and that was just kind of an open Q&A, a hangout session. Subscribers who maybe had questions about my personal life or just wanted to chit chat, get to know me better, they have that opportunity to do so if they wanted to. And I still do that every single Wednesday from 6:30 to 8. I was doing it for 2 hours, but now I kind of just see if the chat's going well, if it's not going well, and kind of just adapted to where if it's not really anything's happening, then I just kind of cut the stream off or stop or end it early. So I was really only doing those two things. And then when I was doing the 30-day video challenge, on top of that, I was very, very busy with my job. And I was like, oh my gosh, like not only am I managing to get everything done for work, but I'm still finding time within a 24-hour period to gather content, edit that video on top of all the other content I've been editing throughout the day and doing other projects, and still find time to upload and do this daily. So I was like, man, like I'm really being a bum. I need to do some more stuff. I need to work harder and find some other media streams and outlets. So after reading that journal, I was just like, well, crap, I need to start doing a podcast series again, because why not? And along with that and some more inspiration and stuff, I've said this so many times, and I don't want people to take it the wrong way or think I'm just like some big money guy or like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like I just, everything I do, it's business oriented. I just treat everything like a business. Everything to me is about capital and money for some reason. I don't know why I'm wired that way, but it's just fun for me. It's like the game of Monopoly. Like I want to have all the properties and I want to have everybody landing on the ones that I own. I'm just so focused on that. But along with that, the inspiration behind my whole YouTube thing was, I treat YouTube as a job. I don't want it to be like a hobby. I want to take it serious. I really want to push myself and see what I can and can't do. And I like to compare my YouTube channel in the aspect of Amazon. And that's what I've been thinking a lot more recently, is just essentially like building an empire, like building a brand around myself and how I can use myself to leverage it and just continue to create more passive income streams. So building an empire, when I say comparing it to Amazon, if you really Google and search Amazon, they're just not a web service like eBay or Craigslist. They own Whole Foods. They own Prime, which streams many different types of content similar to Netflix and Hulu. They also have in their arsenal Twitch, which is just the biggest gaming streaming platform, but it's not also gaming. I mean, people can just talk and live stream. I mean, you can just chill out, but it's a great live streaming service. So they're going along and battling Mixer. There's other ones out there too. YouTube is now into live stream. I heard Facebook's doing something too with live streaming. So they have Twitch. They have Alexa, who is competing against the Google Home and other speaking services. Not to mention their logistics, Amazon Logistics, and they're fighting against UPS, the Postal Service, and FedEx. So you can see how Amazon's like just this major empire that has its hands in all of these different industries. And kind of that's where I'm shifting now my YouTube channel. It seems like when I began, yes, the message is still the same. It's motivating and inspiring people. But again, it's also pushing myself and seeing what I can do just by myself. So at first it was just the welcome to my weekends, where it was like a weekly check-in. Then it turned into, okay, let's start live streaming. So I started live streaming. And then now after doing the 30-day video challenge, it was like, okay, so how do I get more eyeballs, more impressions? How do more and more people, or I guess, how can they find me? And then after, of course, reading that journal entry, I was like, oh, crap. Yeah, I got to make a podcast, because not a lot of people who know of me will maybe grow some interest and search me on YouTube. So there's a lot of different things that kind of turn this whole podcast idea out of nowhere. And that's where I came up with just the Chris Seibert Show. It's just me talking. I mean, and we can go ahead and get into my next topic, and that's essentially what I anticipate talking about during these episodes. Again, this is just the introduction episode. This isn't like the for real episode. That will begin next week. But essentially, I want to do a weekly update with my personal life. It's really cool because where I work, I learn a lot from people. There's all these different people who have different hats within a marketing department, because I'm a video production specialist. So I get to pick and learn and just learn from people who have a different profession, and it's really cool to do that. But the thing I'm starting to realize more and more throughout social media and stuff is people just like raw content. Nothing overproduced, just a day in the life, just still not even edited, just boom, like this is it. This is what you're going to get, just raw content. Eventually with this podcast series, I might have my really good friend Bryce, pay him some money and have him make me an intro, as in like audio intro. So it's like, welcome to the Chris Seibert Show or something like that, something funny. But I mean, like, no, just I want to be super transparent and not edit anything down, not be, fake or show. I mean, this is literally what you're seeing on YouTube is me in person. What you're listening to is me in person as well. There's nothing to change about that. But basically, we'll begin each episode with just a weekly update. And this can be YouTube related stuff like, okay, so like in Wednesday's live stream, I had a good turnout, stuff like that. Maybe talking about some analytical data. And we can even go in as far as talking about my side hustle and business. I also have my still freelance videography stuff that I do on the weekends occasionally, and just other life updates. I just started the process too recently of hooking up with some friends, and we are now in the process, still don't have a name, but we're making skits, and we're going to be building off of that and building a brand as well. So again, just a lot of different things going on in my personal life, and I would love to share that as well. I'm really, really big fan of the stock market, and in my spare time, I'm always on StockTwits or Yahoo Finance or just Googling companies, looking at their stuff. So I will probably be sharing a lot of my portfolio and other things as well, maybe talking about certain stocks. And it'll be great too, because especially on YouTube, hopefully, again, as we continue to grow, seeing more and more people comment stuff and questions and me replying back, or even maybe bringing it up in the next episode. Again, we only have a 30-minute window time frame, and I'm making that on purpose because I don't want to overdo things. So that'll be something fun to talk about. And we'll make some time to talk about stocks. Again, I will be talking about news. Now, this isn't more personal life news. This would kind of just be things that are worth discussing. Like right now, a great topic would be the coronavirus and kind of a weekly update saying, hey, nothing's really changed. But I mean, not so much corona, but just other life factor news that I think is important and worth bringing up. We'll begin the process, and not this week, but next week. I'm going to start doing weekly challenges. I got this idea after doing the Motivational Monday with off-brand comedians. They have suspended doing that. But what I will be doing is, to get my Instagram involved, I'm going to be posting on my Instagram story weekly things that I'll bring up in the podcast. So for example, say next week, I'm saying, all right, guys, I'm going to be doing 10 push-ups and 10 sit-ups this week. And I will post those 10 push-ups and those 10 sit-ups on my Instagram story. So that way, if you guys want to follow along, you can follow me, and maybe you can do the challenge as well. And you can direct message me and say, yo, I'm doing the push-ups and sit-ups. And I'll be like, let's go. Or I could be jogging a mile, walking a mile, just doing something, a weekly challenge. So that way you guys can get involved, something that's healthy and fun and different. And I think that's going to be a great way to keep up with my Instagram content. Again, I want to build an empire. I got social channels. I got the YouTube. I got the podcasting, and just continue to build and feed off that. And then eventually, like I said in the beginning, right now it's a solo podcast, and I want to keep it that way. But eventually in the near future, hopefully, as I continue to grow a broader, bigger audience, and you guys are kind of just tired of me, we can have some guests on and really share their story. And then hopefully you guys would be interested in maybe going to their profiles and learning more about their side hustles, getting to just understand them better as a person. Because like I said, I have the privilege and I have a very good contact list that I continue to keep building, it seems like monthly, of just very, very hardworking, grinding, entrepreneurial artist people who are out chasing and hustling at such a young age, similar to me. And I just love the energy and feed off that. So I would love for you guys to hear about that. And I would also love to learn more about what, keeps them going and hungry every single day. But expect to see the Chris Seibert Show once a week, every Friday morning. And what I'll have to do is I will have to make sure when I'm on Lisbon, that's the host I'm using as these podcast series, I will schedule it out. So hopefully each episode should be up 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday morning. The episode on Friday via YouTube could be different. I've had some problems in the past with my content crashing overnight and having to re-upload it. So expect it to be anytime on Friday. But the goal is to have it up first thing in the morning for those of you who don't want to download the Apple Podcast or Spotify or whatever type of platform you're listening to the podcast on and strictly just watching the video. So that will be the bulk of the information. The last couple notes, we have another solid 10 minutes left. I want to share that some notes or some idea, or not so much some ideas, but just some things I've been noticing. Content is being uploaded extremely rapidly at a bigger and faster pace more than ever. And it seems like the coronavirus has expedited that even tenfold, which I think is awesome because I love competition. However, with the more competition, it is harder to get noticed and be found. So being unique and different, you gotta make yourself known and be different. So again, going back to this podcast series, this is going to be an awesome tool to have and use because, again, I want to be transparent with you guys and just talk to you on a weekly basis and do an update. This is like my town hall. This is like my quarterly report. This is just something so that way you guys get close to me, feel comfortable, and say, oh, well, I don't have time to watch Chris's content this week, but I can know on Friday he'll have an episode or a podcast episode uploaded, and he'll just give me a rundown so that way I don't have to watch his videos. Something along the lines of that. And it's going to be just really beneficial having all of these different things working for itself because I want to continue to build off that. It's like building a house. Right now, we're just setting the foundation. We're in the very early stages. My YouTube revitalization is no more than like 4 months old yet. Like I've just started, and I've gained plenty of subscribers and I continue to grow. I've reached the 1,000 view mark literally a few days ago. I'd say a week ago almost, if not more. So I'm rapidly growing at a very good pace, which is fantastic. I don't want to overdo it, but I don't want to underdo it. I want to make sure that I continue to push myself and see where I can keep going. But again, content is being uploaded more and more than ever. So just being different and putting myself out there in all these different, not so much industries, but I guess channels or, just throwing myself out there all over the place and seeing what sticks. I have here that making a podcast can be more digestible than just sitting down and watching a video. Again, I talked about this a little bit ago. If you don't want to watch my content or you've had a busy week, because my uploads are pretty lengthy. And the reason why I do that, and I shouldn't say this, but eventually in the future, once I get monetized, I'll be able to place more ads on a video. So I look at it as like, again, I will go a whole weekend of recording a lot of content and then just sticking it all together. So again, if the videos are too long, you just don't have time, you're watching a lot of other content, again, you can just pull out your phone on Friday, expect a weekly update. I've talked about this as well, and I guess I would just kind of close with this statement. We have plenty of time to talk about, and I'll try to shorten it down a little bit. But ever since I've started this YouTube thing, and I've brought it up a lot, and it seems like my big thing is always like business and money and all this and that, Again, there's a lot of ways to look at that the wrong way and think of me poorly or think of me as a bad person. I understand that, and I can take that criticism. The way I look at it is, again, going back to the beginning, we have one shot at this, and it's cool because now that I'm done with school and I'm not anticipating on going back to school ever, I have nothing but time, and I also am so young. So at this point in time, it's really being a lot more bold and risky and throwing myself out there and just really seeing what could potentially happen. And I know that where I'm heading right now is really nowhere. I know I'm uploading a bunch of content that's probably like not professional. I would say like my live streams are kind of janky because my computer is kind of buffery and laggy and the bitrate can't hold up during the live streams. And I also expect these podcasts not to really be successful for quite a long time. My biggest thing that I've been really focusing on and what I worked on a lot in 2019 and especially this year as days continue to go by is really just patience. I'm not looking to be on top of the hill and conquer everything next month or in 2 years. What I'm doing right now is I've single-handedly, I just spit on my microphone, that's disgusting. I've single-handedly removed writing what I'm going through day to day and converting it more into a media / digital type platform. And what I mean by that is I'm creating a timeline of events where I'm watching my life, but in real time, but like I'll be able to look at this back in the future and say, this is where I started at. And now because of that, this is where I am. It's like just a timeline of events. So again, 2020 right now is kind of like the, I guess, pilot introduction process phase where we're really just seeing what happens. I'm really just testing the waters. And then eventually, as time continues to carry on and we begin to grow and expand, and fingers crossed, eventually I get monetized and grow, I'll be able to use that type of revenue and AdSense and begin to invest that into other visions and strategies and ideas that I have and continue to grow off that and then build content based around that. I have this journal here that I talk about a lot. And it's really cool because I write in this, not as much as I should, but whenever I have a really good idea, I write something down. Right now, my 5-year plan is to continue working at the job I love because I absolutely love it. I don't plan on leaving that job anytime soon. I also don't plan on just, if I grow with YouTube, stopping everything I'm doing and focusing on YouTube. What I'm doing is I'm using the resources and the talents that I have and putting them to good use. So my 5-year plan right now is to continue to keep investing in the stock market, messing around with online content such as Instagram, this podcast series, YouTube stuff. And then eventually, hopefully, if I get monetized, not only am I going to save that money and invest it in better gear and my side business and everything, but I'm looking at starting Seibert Property Group, where then I will start investing in real estate and creating a series and videos around that and learning about that and sharing that on the podcast. And then depending on how well I do with that and building a team, then I would like to build a team of 10, buy an office space, and create Fusion, which will hopefully revolutionize an industry. Again, this all sounds completely crazy and you guys don't know what I'm really talking about, but my ideas and how I'm going to do it's in this notebook. And you can't just automatically think it's going to happen tomorrow or the next day. The key is patience. Right now, I'm in my 20s. I'm just goofing around, spending time, focusing on stuff like this, while also working and maintaining my job, saving money, investing money. But as time continues to go on, I'm hoping that as we continue to grow, I'm going to be able to do a lot more and show that and bring that to you guys and just continue to expand. But overall, this podcast series, I've really been looking forward to this ever since April when I was like, and I found that journal that I shared and I was like, wow, that's like a really, really good idea. It's something different and something unique. And not only is more people going to be able to find me through a different social platform like podcasts, but they'll be able to maybe get inspired and come by my YouTube channel and watch some of my crappy content. Again, I'm not trying to be the best videographer. I don't want to be the biggest YouTuber. I'm just using my video editing skills, my personality, and building a brand around it and bringing it to life and seeing what I can do with it. But again, this is exciting, and I'm very, very excited to eventually get people on and share their story and talk about their passions and what keeps them going. And hopefully, maybe if somebody is really interested, potentially get some work out of them and pay them for something, because I think that's like the artist's biggest dream is getting paid for what you love. And that's what I'm so blessed, because I went to school and studied and majored in video production, and now I'm a video production specialist for a power tool company at their headquarters here in the US. So I have a great safety net and I'm very comfortable, but it's just building off that and trying to see what else I can do. But Again, guys, thank you. This has been the introduction podcast of the Chris Seibert Show. I'm so excited to have you guys on board, and I hope you enjoyed this first episode. I will be back again next Friday, and again, this episode in the future will be uploaded just fine. But for those of you out there that are watching this via YouTube, just understand that what you will probably need to do is wait a couple days before you search it on either Spotify, Apple Music, or what other program or platform you plan on listening to it from. But thank you guys. I'm going to end it here. I will see you next Friday at the Chris Seibert, or on the Chris Seibert Show. Have a good one.